Welcome, freshmen. I wanted to create a short video on how to do the research paper proposal. And so let's begin. There are 4 different parts of the paper proposal. You've already done the first part, and that's the introduction. I want you to copy and paste that same introduction into the paper proposal template that I'll show you in a little bit. But you've already got the introduction done. You also have a thesis statement. That should be a strong thesis statement that you can gain research from. Always make sure that the research that you're looking up is tailored back to that thesis statement. Otherwise, you're going to be doing a lot of work that won't be helpful later on. So you have the introduction already done with the thesis statement. If you don't, pause and do that step. Then you're going to be doing 3 sources. You're going to be looking up 3 different sources. 2 of the sources need to be peer-reviewed or printed, and I'll explain what that is. That does not mean that you need a physical copy of the source, but it does mean that it needs to be peer-reviewed, and I'll show you the list in a moment. You also need to create annotations for those sources. The annotations are basically a 2 to 3 sentence paragraph that gives a working understanding of the source. It basically explains what the source is. So if you have a book that you're citing from, then it would mention this is a book that has some background on this information, and this is how it was used in the research. You will also create 8 to 10 bullet point facts. These can either be paragraphs or they can be bullet points, but it needs to be facts from the research. We are not doing flashcards or any type of research like that. We're going to be using bullet points instead on here. So you need 4 things. You have the introduction, which it should be already completed. You're going to have 3 sources that you're going to be looking up. 2 of those need to be printed or peer-reviewed. The other source can just be from the internet. However, we're not using Wikipedia or any other encyclopedia like that. And then you need to have an annotation for each of the 3 sources. That annotation really explains what the source is. And that is different from the bullet point facts that we'll be looking up. So let's look at an example here. You're going to be going to Google Classroom. You can click on the paper proposal assignment here. You're going to see that we have an example paper proposal of Ronald Reagan. That is not a topic that you get to choose this year. We also have the peer-reviewed and sources page that will be very helpful. But let's click on the paper proposal. This will be your template here. What you should do is, because you've already written the introduction and the thesis statement, I would copy and paste that from your introduction. Should be passed back to you. Then you're going to create the sources. This is just an explanation right here to guide you along. Gives an example right here of what a source would look like, an example of what a annotation would look like. See how it says in the book or in this article or on this website, and it explains about the source a little bit. And then you're going to be giving your facts there. So you can delete this example once you have a firm grasp on that. You will also need to substitute your name for Jane Jones and also put your last name at the top where the period is. Also put the correct period if yours is not period 1. It will be due April 3rd, so you can keep that right there, date. So looking back at Google Classroom, we see an example right here. This example right here is on Ronald Reagan. You have the introduction right here with a thesis statement. Your introduction does not need to be this long. And then you also have a source with a annotation here and then bullet point facts. Your bullet point facts don't have to be this robust and this detailed, but that's an example there for you. Going back to Google Classroom, I do want to spend a final note looking at sources. This peer review source sheet right here will give you an idea of what sources are. So best place to start looking for peer-reviewed sources is through Google Scholar. So if I go over to Google Scholar up here, not that one, let's see here. I can type in Google Scholar Scholar. And then what I want to do is click on Google Scholar right here. This will get me to the peer-reviewed sources that I'm going to be using. I need 2 of those out of 3 of my sources need to be peer-reviewed. If I am doing Mongol Empire, I could click on any of these sources right here. And you want to make sure that the source is helpful to you, and maybe droughts in the Mongol Empire wouldn't be helpful to you, but maybe commodity exchange. So I'd click right here. Now I have a book. This book has been peer-reviewed, which means that a university has approved that this book is scholarly. So what you can do is you can copy and paste this source right here into the citation right here. I want to click on book. I do want to make sure that it's MLA, not APA or Chicago. I want to click on book, website, if it's a website or if it's a magazine. I'm going to put in the title right here. I'm going to search for this book. It says no results. That's not good. Well, let's go back to this right here, and let's just copy and paste the title here. If we do that, search books, and the book is right here. I want to make sure that it's the same title. Yes, it is. I'm going to hit select. Here's what we find, and then final step. Okay, one more step. Create citation. I love ads. And then this is what I would be using for my proposal. I would copy and paste that. So that's how you do that. I'm going to go back to this source right here. Now, how am I going to get bullet point facts from here? Well, I'm going to type into here maybe something like Pax Mongolia, and see if there's anything on Pax Mongolia on here. There's a couple of pages here. So if I click on this page right here, I can get some information right here where it mentions about the political ambition led to Pax Mongolia that facilitated and greatly intensified communication between the East and the West. So that point right there, that Pax Mongolia greatly intensified communication, would be a great piece of information to gain from this book. And so then I would go back to my paper proposal and template here, and then I would put in that as one of the bullet point facts. So as you look at this peer-reviewed source right here, you can also go to SIRS right here, which is this one right here. If you type in the directions right here, which it says to type in the source right here. On yours it should be a little bit clearer. And then it has the username and the password, and I've done that up here. And I typed in a source, for example, Dark Ages. I found a source that I liked. And this source right here, I can then use as one of the sources there if I choose. The name of the author is up here. It is a magazine. So I would take this and I would click it into the citation. I would go back. And it is a magazine. Most of SIRS will be magazines, periodicals. Put that into there. Create citation. Oh, that's a cute puppy. And let's see. Create citation. Be sure not to get distracted by all the ads there. And this is the citation right here that I would use. So this citation machine is a helpful resource to be citing your sources from. So if I go back to this list right here, we've also given you some example of sources. If you want to look up these sources, these are all peer-reviewed sources, so you can use these as well. You just need to put them into Google using Google Books or something of that source. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email Mr. Estel or myself, Mr. Malumbi. You can also go to the Google Chat, the Google Meet. That will also be helpful, hopefully, in answering any questions. You will be putting your sources on here, the paper proposal, and you'll be submitting that by next Friday. So thank you, and hope this was helpful.